This is Sandy Alt reporting from the wild, and this is the audio podcast companion to my blog on Substack. This is episode 32. I'll have the NUREMBERGER.
You want to know why it happened here? Because people let it happen. They didn't stand up until it was too late.
That line was spoken by the character Sergeant Howie Triest, a German Jew serving as a U.S. military translator in James Vanderbilt's 2025 film, Nuremberg. This week, we watched Renee Nicole Good murdered in her car by ICE. The killer, Jonathan Ross, walked away from his victim, protected by his fellow goons, got in his car, and drove away. We also learned that ICE killed Keith Porter in L.A. on New Year's Eve, and that ICE fired into a truck in Portland and injured 2 people. Our taxes now fund an army of brown shirts who murder civilians with impunity. In Nazi Germany, the Brown Shirts were a paramilitary group infamous for their lawless, violent assaults on Germany's leftists and its Jewish population. We are watching a similar force descend on American cities, well-funded, defended, and emboldened by poisonous propaganda from the lying lips of the president, the vice president, and the barbarian Barbie who is the Brown Shirts' boss. Their lies tell us not to believe our own eyes. I'm thinking we don't get out of this moral, legal, and constitutional quagmire we're in without justice. And impeachment, should it even be a possibility with this complicit Congress, would not be nearly enough. We do need impeachment, plus removal, prosecution, and punishment right here in the United States. And we need a Nuremberg event as well. We need the International Criminal Court and the International Court of Justice to investigate and prosecute this administration. There is no hope for the future of our democracy without justice. Even when we manage to defeat this cruel, lawless, kleptocratic regime that has taken the levers of power, there can be no letting bygones be bygones, no moving on from the moment, unless and until there is justice, real justice, Nuremberg-style justice for crimes committed by the members of this administration and its accomplices, co-conspirators, accessories, and aiders and abettors. We, the people, have allowed what is happening. We have been too slow, too quiet, too hesitant. We have allowed our Congress to sit idle, to go along to get along, and then wax catatonic while the unthinkable began to unfold in January of 2025. Hell, we allowed the instigator of January 6th to go unpunished when we had the power to prosecute. We have allowed Fox News to saturate the airwaves with lies and propaganda for nearly 30 years. We have allowed syndicates to gobble up and dominate local media and to misshape the news to mold a movement that has no allegiance to truth or the Constitution. We allowed the FCC to abolish the Fairness Doctrine. We allowed corruption and dark money to influence, invade, and infect Congress. We allowed Mitch McConnell to steal a seat on the Supreme Court, landing us in the muck of a majority anti-democratic third branch of government that has been methodically breaking down voters' rights, taking away women's bodily autonomy, and elevating the presidency to the level of king with the grant of presidential immunity. I could go on.
We are able to do away with domestic tyranny only when we make all men answerable to the law, so that it can never happen again.
That was another line from the film Nuremberg. This one by the character Robert H. Jackson, the U.S. Chief of Counsel for the International Military Tribunal at those proceedings.
We got here gradually, and then suddenly. We allowed the rich to rule in this country through the gateway of Citizens United, flooding corporate and lobby interest money into politics without restraint. We got here through repeatedly glutting the military-industrial complex with more money than God. This permitted private industry to hold the keys to the power and might of our fighting forces and to trade government-funded advancements on the global military market. We got here because we allowed the fossil fuel giants to dominate against clean energy, despite scientific evidence that hydrocarbons were destroying our planet. We got here through the erosion and decay of our public education, through infiltration and capture by right-wing Christian charter schools. And now we have handed the controls for information, media, and communications to the tech giants and prohibited any legislation to moderate the plethora of harmful effects of unrestrained AI development.
Last January, we watched a flock of fat cats congregate and convene a corrupt conclave in the People's House, taking mere hours to reshape the government of this country into a full-on oligarchy. Out came the gold bars, the crypto coins, the tech bros, and the surgically sculpted synthetic dollies. We saw them smiling as they stole our democracy. When the halls of Congress filled again after this decadent drama, our oath-sworn constitutional servants began to bow and scrape or stare in shock, depending on which side of the aisle they found themselves on. This did not stop for months as one law after another was bent or broken, as one institution after another was destroyed, as one crank carney after another was confirmed.
Then came the Doge destroyers, who brandished their bone saws as they carved up government agencies and looted our data systems, displaying utter contempt for statutory privacy protections that once guarded our sensitive data. Our leaders on the left side of the legislative branch crafted sternly worded letters and expressed concern to the press. Our leaders on the right ceded all power to the all-powerful president and his gang of ghouls, permitting them to plot the path to where we are now.
And where are we now? We are not even through the first year of this Project 2025 execution, and we are in the grips of lawless tyranny. Those charged with protecting and serving our democracy openly create kleptocracy and launch unsanctioned aggressions domestically and globally. A list of the crimes is too lengthy, but imagine if we curated the highlights and put them on a menu. You go out for a meal, and the servers offer you what we're all already having.
Welcome to the Democracy Disaster Diner. Here's our menu of malfeasance. We have this bitter cocktail, launched ICE raids, sending masked agents to grab people off American streets. And no one has been able to choke this down yet. An ICE agent murdered Renee Nicole Good in the streets of Minneapolis. Our starters are these catastrophes. Repeated threats to seize Canada, Greenland, Panama, Mexico, Colombia, Cuba. Seized Congress's power of the purse by refusing to spend appropriated funds and froze new Ukraine military aid. Dissolved DOJ units that would investigate Trump and fired or removed inspectors general. Defied judge's order for planes of deportees to return to the U.S. Removed 317,000 federal workers. Fired or removed senior military officers, including the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff. This is so horrible. I'm going to have to hand you over to another server.
I hate to tell you about these gut-wrenching entrees. Invaded Venezuela, kidnapped their president, criticized NATO and adopted a so-called peace plan with Ukraine that benefited Russia, deployed 700 Marines to Los Angeles violating posse comitatus, and the specials are just as bad. pardoned January 6th rioters and installed insurrectionists in the federal government, pardoned drug king Ross Ulbricht and over 1,000 cryptocurrency criminals, corrupt politicians, and political allies. The Seafood Special conducted military strikes in the Caribbean Sea and the Pacific Ocean, as well as Somalia, Iran, Yemen, Iraq, and Syria without congressional auzation. And for the Senior Special, cut Medicaid $1 trillion over 10 years with projected cuts of $536 billion to Medicare. Ugh. That's all I can take. I'm sorry. Here comes someone who can tell you about more misdeeds.
Oh, the kids' meals are heartbreaking. Without due process, deported American citizens, including children, some mid-cancer treatment, and immigrants without criminal records, some to El Salvador's Sicat torture prison, eliminated USAID food and medical assistance, resulting in hundreds of thousands of deaths. Wait, withdrew from the World Health Organization? Oh, the aperitifs are awful. Enriched Trump and his family in crypto scams and accepted a $400 million jet from Qatar? Accepted donations and crypto purchases in deals for pardons? Demolished the East Wing of the White House to build a ballroom funded by billionaires? Oh, no, that's more than enough. No, I'm sorry, I can't get my manager for you. He's currently in Venezuela kidnapping someone.
Looking for just desserts? Consider this quote from R.G. Collingwood that appeared at the end of the 2025 film Nuremberg.
The only clue to what man can do is what man has done.
Were you hankering for some justice? According to Aristotle,
it is in justice that the ordering of society is centered.
So far, there is no justice here. One might argue that the courts are holding, but they are hanging on by a thread. The DOJ has become an engine of retribution, and now it seems that the military is willing to do this Reich's bidding regardless of law, domestic or international, with allegiance only to the rich and powerful, with no moral compass and no ethical restraints, with cruelty exercised at every opportunity, and daily demonstrations of indecency and incivility. This regime has emerged as an evil empire, not unlike the Third Reich. We are no longer a democracy when there is no rule of law, no equality, and no justice. Democrats in Congress have failed to meet the moment. When this regime bombed and invaded Venezuela, did they immediately descend on D.C. and call for emergency sessions of both houses? They did not. They do not have the fortitude, the speed, or the strength to meet this moment. They are still bound hand and foot to a time before when civility, decency, and rules of decorum prevailed. Now they are rumbling about impeachment. Impeachment is not enough. I would argue that even impeachment, removal, and prosecution are not enough. The American people, in overwhelming numbers, must be hungry enough for justice, for decency, for equality, and for democracy to create massive strikes that could cripple this despotic deviation from democracy. When that happens, we must go beyond impeachment and prosecution. The world must join us in restoring justice and order to civilization and guaranteeing restitution from the illegal enrichment. Aristotle again.
At his best, man is the noblest of all animals. Separated from law and justice, he is the worst.
Many of us are unable to stomach what is being dished up by this dictatorship. We are hungry for democracy and decency. May we see an urgency for it worldwide, among those once considered strong allies, among those feeling the oncoming disaster of a global order wherein the world and its resources are divided up among the wealthiest, leaving the rest of us to fight for scraps from what is left.
You want to know why it happened here? Because people let it happen. They didn't stand up until it was too late.
What can we do? Stand up. Stand together in peaceful protest. Keep speaking the truth. Keep saying their names. Keith Porter, Renee Nicole Good. States still have power. Press those in power in your state to prosecute crimes committed there. And stand up with your neighbors, with your community, and participate in your local and state elections. During the French Revolution, Jean-Jacques Rousseau said, "When the people shall have nothing more to eat, they will eat the rich." Hopefully, we will not have to resort to that, as I doubt that dish would be tasty. But I, for one, am starving for some justice. So I'm looking over the menu of possibilities here at the Democracy Disaster Diner, and I think I'll have the NUREMBERGER. Can I have fries with that?
Tell me, show me, you know the way to the future.
This has been Sandy Alt reporting from the wild. Every week or so, I publish a written essay, and then a few days after, I produce an audio podcast version like this one. I really love doing these podcasts because I get to wear a lot of hats: writer, storyteller, producer, musician, and composer. I'm always delighted to include my own original music as well as voices from the community. You can read and subscribe to the companion piece to this podcast at sandyalt.substack.com. If you navigate there, you can see notes citing the sources for this script and for the companion essay publication, as well as a photo of Zuni with a sunburst behind him. I want to thank Teresa Dowse-Weber for her steadfast assistance in the development of this script, and, along with our cohort, Eric Brody, many thanks for the great editing these two always provide. Check out Eric's Substack, Decency and Sense. I was blessed with a prodigious amount of voiceover talent for this complex podcast script, beginning with the talented actor Kevin Mayr, who was kind enough to interpret the lines from the film NUREMBERG, as well as be the voice of Aristotle, and the fabulous podcaster Channie Peters, the great voiceover artist Michael Clarkson, and three talented voices from our team: our Purple Weather Lady, Rock Castle, and Sheila Allred. And if you want more stories from the wild, look for my Wild Mystery series in book, audiobook, and ebook. You can start with any book in the series and go wild.